I love the Daemon Prince model, but it is a big, muscly guy and it doesn't really fit Tzeentch. I mean, look at this. This is my World Eater's conversion. All I changed was Bloodthirster weapons and this Juggernaut head, and that's it. And this just doesn't have that Thousand Suns or Tzeentch vibe where everything has these gangly long arms and extra tentacles and weird stuff, and there's nothing bird-like about that thing at all. So I'm gonna kitbash my Thousand Suns Daemon Prince with Vashtorr as a base. I mean, look at this guy. That's Tzeentch. Long, gangly. Yeah, there's lots of mechanical bits in there, but it's a Daemon Prince. It's not a demon. It used to be a marine at some point. So I'm okay with that, and I think I can work with this. But, you know, he needs some Tzeentch weapons. And I'm fine with this claw as it is, because it works out pretty well. It is, again, kind of magical, but it also has a flamer, which is good for Thousand Suns. And then on the other side, he has a hammer. Now, that's not gonna fly. It needs something else. And thankfully, my buddy Mario, he gave me his leftover Lord of Change sprues. So I got this massive book over here, that staff head. But I think this thing over here is gonna be the one that's gonna fit the best on the mace. Just a quick check, so I know where to cut. And I think I just can get rid of this right above the hand. Just make sure it's flat and it doesn't follow the finger too much. Make this nice and flat, and then I can stick that staff on. I've got to glue his hand in place first though. I almost forgot about that, and his thumb does get a little bit in the way, but with this staff there is actually a place for his thumb. This is working out perfectly, so I can fit this on here. I just need to shave a little bit, but it'll be fine. Now there's a sorcerer's staff. I love it. It works out really well. That little gap over there, it's perfect for the thumb. This is just amazing. So a quick dry fit, and even the pose I think looks good like this. He's walking around with his staff. He is scanning the area, looking around. And speaking of looking around, I need to find a head for him. And I got a couple of options. So first of all, the heads that are left over on the Lord of Change sprue are mainly Kairos, because my buddy made a Lord of Change. So I got Kairos' heads, which I love because they're much more ornate, and I think they work really well as a Thousand Suns Daemon Prince. So I could just stick them on here or use one of these necks and have him have a really long neck. Oh, the other way around. That way around. But I think this would just look weird. This is way too long and I don't think it works out. So if I'm sticking the head straight on, I could also use something else, like this thing. This is from Chaos Knights, I believe one of the small ones. And it's a mechanical bird head, which I also really like. But I think I should just go for one of the Kairos heads. I think this works much better. I think it's pretty cool, pretty brutal. I just need a glob of green stuff in here. So I'll just put a ball of green stuff right on his neck over here. And then I squish the head on top of that. But I want to make sure he's looking at something. So he needs to have a little twist in his head. And I'm gonna turn it a little bit around as well. And our birds, they kind of turn their head like this when they see something interesting. I want to get that pose going on him as well. Yeah, that's a Tzeentch Thousand Suns Daemon Prince. This thing looks pretty cool. I like him. He has that gangly bird-like Lord of Change pink horror aspect already. But of course he needs some wings. Because what's a Daemon Prince of Tzeentch without wings? I already have one on foot for my World Eaters, and I can of course use these in my other battles. Now I have 4 options for wings. One that I'm definitely not going to use, which is these wings. These are the actual Daemon Prince wings. But it's good to have these for a size reference. And then I've got the Dawnbringers. This is Kretusa the Croneseer. I have a kitbash with her on my channel as well, which I'm not that happy with. But I also got this one, the statue. I really like these wings, and I have this one. I believe that's Indraste. I'm not 100% sure. But let's see what sort of wings can fit this body of Vashtorr. Now this is the sprue of Kretusa, and yeah, that is way too small. I think it would be really cool for a sort of sorcerer, an exalted sorcerer, to give him some wings. But this is definitely not gonna work. She has some really cool ravens for on her base though, so I'm definitely keeping this handy for when I do the base of my Daemon Prince. Then Indrasta, that's her name, she has wings which are pretty good. I quite like this size, and this one, this side of the Daemon Prince, is a little bit smaller. So I think this will work because also the Vashtorr model is a little bit taller than the regular Daemon Prince model. So if I put wings on here that are a little bit smaller than the Daemon Prince wing, I think I can get away with it. I'm not modeling for advantage or disadvantage. I mean, what the hell, if your minis look like this, you're not playing to win a big competition. You're playing because you want to have cool minis on the table. But these things, I really love these wings. I think they look amazing. And I think they would be really, really big for this guy. If you compare them with the Daemon Prince wings, they are pretty much the same size. So I think I'll have to go for these. So if the wings of the statue are the same size as the Daemon Prince wing, almost, I could use the Daemon Prince wings to put them on the statue and create something of a Valkyrie Daemon Prince, a female Valkyrie World Eater's winged Daemon Prince. Oh shit. Okay, that's for another video. Let me get these wings on Vashtorr first. And now just dry fitting with a bit of poster putty. They look big. They look really, really big, but I quite like it. I mean, he's almost menacing, almost like a peacock that fans out his tail. I quite like it like this. I might have to turn them a little bit, give him a little bit more, I don't know, better profile, not make them flat, straightforward. And you have to look at him from a different angle. I like these wings. They are really, really big though. I'm just gonna see if the Indrasta's wings might be a better fit. So Indrasta's wings, they would go something like this up here. And there's a little issue with them. They are made to go on the back of a miniature, not on the shoulders like on a Daemon Prince. But I quite like this pose as well. I think in both cases the wings are going to be pointing way up, which is a little bit weird. I would like them to kind of point more to the side like this. I think that's a better look. I think this looks better. I think this looks better than these massive wings. I'm very, very torn. Big wings it is. I was looking at this. There's a bunch of reasons why I'm doing big wings. One is that it would just look cooler. And yes, it's going to hurt me on a tabletop. And I'm going to hate it when somebody takes out the laser pointer and go, oh, I see the tip of the wing, which is not supposed to be that big or sticking out that far. But I don't care. It's going to be a much cooler model. But also, I don't see any other place where I would use these wings. And I have 2 patrons supporting the channel, so I don't really have the means to just go and waste bits like this. And I can use these wings on a Thousand Suns Sorcerer, much like Kretusa's wings. I want to make a really cool, very thematic, very flavorful Thousand Suns army. All of the rubrics looking the same, that's just not for me. So, without further ado, let's put these wings on. And I'm going to put them on as I had them initially, like this big sort of peacock tail that he fans out, because I think I can do something cool with the paint scheme, make it sort of a hypnotic pattern on those feathers, on those wings, to make it look like he is trying to cast a spell even with his wings. So I put him on a temporary base, and this is a little kitbashing tip. If you're working with models like this, put them on a base so you know what their position is going to be. It's going to be much easier to figure out what the pose is, because if I'm holding it in my hands and I don't know which angle I want these wings, I can mess it up really badly. So now I'm going to pin these wings, because I just put a glob of green stuff over here, big pin in the wing, and I'm just sticking it in, and then I can quickly, before the glue sets, I can twist them into the position that I want them to be, and I fill up the gaps with green stuff again. Oh, and Valkyrie, she's coming along nicely. Look at him. I think it worked out pretty well with the wings. Everything's falling into place. He looks like a proper Daemon Prince of Tzeentch at the moment. He needs to become a Thousand Suns Daemon Prince though. And I think I can do that with these armor pieces of Vashtorr. The chest piece, this is sort of crotch flap that everything in 40k has. If I paint this in Thousand Suns colors, it's going to turn him into a Thousand Suns Daemon Prince. But for the first time in months, I have a kitbash that I can paint in sub-assemblies. I don't have to muck about and paint this in metals and that in flesh all onto the same mini, because I don't need to use much more green stuff. This is all supposed to fit on Vashtorr's body. I'll take a few bits and pieces from the Lord of Change sprue, the Kairos Fate Weaver sprue that I've left over, to embellish him a little bit more. But I can paint this separately, which is fantastic. And in between finishing the kitbash and now starting painting, I got the new Villainy Inks tester kit, the second release with 7 new enamels that are amazing. If you want, you can check out the review of that, but I'm not going to use all of these on this guy. I'm going to use some for sure. There's a couple of workhorses in this new set I'll use on all my minis, but I'm really going to use them on my Valkyrie kitbash. And if you want to see that, you've got to subscribe, because that one will come later. Instead, for this guy, I'm going to use a bunch of other enamels, which is going to be all of these fluor enamels. Yeah, we're going bright, 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 and still maybe grimdark, I hope. I want to see if I can make this work. I want to have a different type of army with a slightly different paint style than my other armies. I have my World Eaters, which are really dark, grimdark. They're nasty, infected skin, just brutal armor, blood spatter, all of it. And I want to try something different for my Thousand Sons. So here I've got a pink fluor enamel paint. Look how bright it is. And I'm going to use this to turn him into basically a massive, oversized pink horror. Because I think that would be pretty funny. That's a pink horror if ever I've seen one. I've also learned something important. Don't pour these fluor paints out in a cup because you pour out way too much. They're so bright and so intense, you're gonna need very little of it. So now I'm gonna shade him a little bit with some of this purple fluor color, but I'm going to use it also mainly on the extremities. So his hand, his face, his legs, maybe a little bit on his knees, just to get a little bit of variation on these sort of parts of his body that are stretching the skin. Man, these enamels, it looks like they're stripping the primer right off here on the knuckles. I can see green plastic. It's very caustic, and I don't know if it's a good idea to continue. But hey, if you see this in the original video, in the published video, then turns out I continued. So hey, I'm gonna use some, this is fluor blue, yeah, on the hands and on the face in particular. And I've done the wings with the same fluorescent blue as well. Now I wanna darken it down quite a lot, especially the outside of the wings. So this is some umbral nightshade from Villainy Inks, one of the new ones. It's a nice dark blue, and it's just going to get into the recesses and sort of tone things down a bit. And I'll follow this up with some Decrepit Filth, the black, chalky, matte finish enamel from Villainy Inks. So now I got this really pretty neat effect where the backside of the wings are pretty dark, and I also painted rust on his back and dark metals over here. And then the front is a whole lot lighter. That's what I want. I want it to look like he's casting spells going forward with his wings as well. I've done a little bit of the armor, and I'm just going to finish it and show you how I paint my Chaos Marines armor, because people always ask, you know, paint the trim first, paint the panels first. For me, it's obvious. I just want to dry brush the gold first, and then I paint in the panels, because this gives me the dry brushed metal look that I like on my miniatures. And I also think it's easier. It's just easier to fix mistakes now and slightly touch up the armor trim than it is to do it the other way around. Now this enamel is called Psychic Blue, and I used it already a bit on his face, but I also want to do his hand, because I want to show that the parts of his body that he uses to cast spells, so of course his mouth where he speaks spells, but also his wings and his hand, they all turn a little bit more blue than the rest of the body. And you know, this is called Psychic Blue, this paint, so I think I have to use it. So I've come a long way, and I can hear you thinking, where's the gore? Why is this channel called Fog of Gore if there's no gore on the mini? So I'm gonna rectify all of that. He has this weird little sort of mana worm tongue thing growing out of his staff. So let's make that nice and gory. Starting with a bit of Carrion Crimson, some Ichor of the Damned to darken it. And I'm also using this on the Demon Prince himself. Here, look at his backside. This is all reddish Carrion Crimson, some Ichor of the Damned, especially the part of his skin that looked nasty and sort of gnarly, but also my own green stuff, because that doesn't look so smooth as the miniature does. So I'm just going to make this look like gory. Everywhere where the skin is stretched, like here where it's attaching to the claw, and here around his crotch where there's mechanical parts sticking out, that's all going to get some nice blood effects. Do you think he's still happy that he traded his soul for all those powers of Tzeentch? Because this looks like a creature that is suffering and in pain, especially his backside with all the rough skin that he has there. All the parts that connect to metal, everything is bleeding and is nasty. And there's still a few things I want to do. But first, I got to get all of those armor pieces in place. And that's how he goes from being a Demon Prince of Tzeentch to being a Demon Prince of the Thousand Sons. I mean, the armor, it makes all the difference. He's no longer just a demon. He's also really something that used to be a Marine. Like, obviously, these armor plates are from original Space Marine armor. Now the plating, they all still need a little bit of a wash, and for that I'm going to use Decrepit Filth, one of the new enamels from Villainy Inks, from the Grimdark Compendium. This is a black one that dries up chalky, dusty. So there's Ichor of the Damned, which is black and glossy. This one is supposed to be really nasty, sort of like the black mold that grows in your apartment. but then on the armor of a demon. There, that's more dirty and disgusting. I love it. It also shows me something that's wrong with this mini, and that's that the skin is just a little bit too chalky. The neon stuff, it's very powdery, and so it kind of gives that chalk and dry look, and I don't want that. I want his skin to almost look like he's turned inside out, like he has no skin. Like this is the muscles that we're looking at straight away. So I'm taking some art coat, the technical glossy varnish from Games Workshop itself, and I'm diluting it a lot and then just brushing this onto the skin, especially on the raised edges, the parts that are sticking out here. I don't have to go too deep because I don't want to hit any of the armor with this, but I can make him just shine a little bit more. Okay, that's better, but to really finish it off, I'm gonna need some fresh blood effect. So some blood for the blood god on particular spots on this mini. Now I'm gonna give him a little bit of a base that is something of a desert temple. And I have a lot of these little square tiles left over from when I made my Knight Flagellant. So I'm gonna use those. And then I just add some sand and dirt and brown enamels that I can mix all together to make a nice sort of sandy desert base. That's enough variation. It's just two different enamels, dark brown and brown earth deposits. So I'm just gonna put this guy on his base. Then I dust it with a couple of pigment powders and my Daemon Prince from my Thousand Suns army is done. And I love him. Look at him. I really stepped way out of my comfort zone with these neon paints. It's really not my style, but I think it worked out pretty well. He really does look like a magical horror, like an oversized pink horror in Thousand Suns armor with these big blue wings. I think it worked out well, and you have to imagine this guy on a tabletop with very grimdark Thousand Suns all around him, because I want to work on a whole Thousand Suns army. I have a video on my channel already about all sorts of kitbash and conversion inspiration that I have for Thousand Suns, what I want to do with them, how I'm going to integrate sort of Egyptian themed, a death themed, and I want to make every 5-man rubric a different unit, led by an individual sorcerer who has his own ideas and his own capacities and his own sort of mini cult of automatons that follow him. And in that army, these sort of fleshy bits that you might see in the spawns, that you might see in the extra arms on the sorcerers, they're going to be bright and neon and blue and pink and purple, while the armor is going to be super muted and grimdark and nasty and dusty and chalky and rusty and all the stuff that I'm usually painting. Now, you want to see more Thousand Suns stuff, you gotta subscribe, because I'm gonna slowly work on my Thousand Suns army. It's only the 13th of May today, so we just saw the codex this weekend. It's coming. I'm working on my World Eaters army as well. Valkyrie, my Valkyrie Daemon Prince from my World Eaters that I talked about in the beginning of this video. She's coming along quite nicely. That's gonna be the next video. Subscribe if you want to see that. Join the Discord if you want to see lots of work in progress pics. And a big thank you to my patrons. You guys are awesome. If you enjoyed this video, check out this video next.